My name's Wi-Fi the Elf. Now I'm coming to you live from the reindeer outpost in the North Pole, and I'm... Oh, wait a minute, let me check these cables. Oh, that's better. Now I'm going to connect you with Father Christmas so we can hear all about the adventures from the North Pole. I'm so very excited. I do love these. So get snuggled in and listen for the latest adventures from Father Christmas.
Welcome, children, to another magical episode of the Adventures from the North Pole. It's me, Father Christmas, your host, a heartwarming story about Maharg, a retired master planner. Feeling a bit restless in his retirement, Maharg decided to organize a grand walkathon for the elves. This story is filled with determination, teamwork, and the joy of giving back to the community. So settle in, get cozy, and let's begin Maharg's great adventure. In the peaceful corners of the North Pole, Maharg had settled into retirement. He was instrumental in the operational setup and strategic planning of our beloved North Pole, and now, in his retirement, he enjoyed walking, gardening, and volunteering. Yet, there was a restlessness in his heart. He missed the thrill of planning and putting on great grand events. Maharg spent his mornings walking through the snow-dusted trails, the crisp air invigorating his senses. He often found himself pausing to admire the intricate frost patterns on the pine trees or the way the sunlight danced off the icicles. Despite the beauty around him, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. His afternoons were spent in his garden, where he tended to his winter blooms. The vibrant poinsettias and cheerful hollyberries were a source of pride, and the meticulous care he gave them reflected his dedication and love for nurturing life. Still, even among the flourishing plants, Maharg felt a void. I've enjoyed my walks to my garden, Maharg thought to himself, but there's something missing. I need a project, something that can bring joy and bring us all together. Maharg's evenings were filled with lively discussions at the community centre, where he volunteered. He enjoyed sharing his knowledge and experience with all the younger elves, and his stories of past Christmas Eve operations always drew a captivated audience. Yet after the laughter faded and the stories were told, his restlessness soon returned. One chilly evening, as Maharg sat by the fire with a cup of hot cocoa, he found himself lost in thought. His mind wandered back to the days when he orchestrated the grand operations that ensured every child, like you, got their gifts on Christmas morning. He missed the camaraderie, the problem-solving, and the sense of accomplishment that came with a job very well done. I need to find a way to feel that sense of purpose again, sighed Maharg. Something that combined my love for planning and my passion for community. The next morning, as he walked along the frozen paths to the community centre, an idea began to form in his mind. He noticed the elves he passed greeting him warmly, their faces lighting up at the sight of him. Maharg realized that he wasn't the only one who could benefit from a new project. The entire community could use a boost, something to bring them together and lift their spirits. Inspired by his love for walking and desire to contribute, Maharg decided to organize a grand walkathon for the elves. It would be a way to bring everyone together, enjoy the beauty of the North Pole, and raise funds for community projects. He envisaged elves walking through scenic routes, enjoying nature that would benefit everyone. A walkathon, yes, Maharg excitedly said. That's it. It will be fun, healthy, and great for the community. I'll need to plan the routes, organise the volunteers, and make sure everything runs smoothly. Time to get to work. Maharg returned home with a newfound sense of purpose. He dusted off his old planning books and maps and spread them out across his kitchen table. The familiar thrill of organising a large event filled him with energy. He made a list of tasks and began to draft a detailed plan for the walkathon. His first step was to map out several scenic routes, taking care to include paths that showcased the most beautiful and serene parts of the North Pole. He wanted the participants to experience the magical landscapes that he loved so very much. The frozen falls, the whispering woods, and the sparkling glade were just a few of the highlights he planned to include. Next, he reached out to Lottie, known for her calm and analytical problem-solving skills, to help with the planning. Maharg valued her input and knew that her meticulous nature would be an asset. "Lottie, the route will take us past the frozen falls," Maharg said, pointing at a map, "and through the whispering woods. It's perfect, but we need to ensure the paths are safe and clearly marked." "We could set up signs," said Lottie thoughtfully, "and have volunteers at key points to guide everyone. Let's also prepare for any weather changes. It can be unpredictable this time of the year." As Maharg and Lottie delved into the details, the excitement grew. They recruited volunteers, organised safety measures, and planned festive activities for the start and finish lines. Maharg's restlessness began to fade, replaced by a deep sense of fulfillment and anticipation. "This is going to be a wonderful event," said Maharg, smiling. "Lottie, I can feel it. The elves will love it, and it will bring our community even closer together." "You're right, Maharg," Lottie said encouragingly. "This walkathon will be something truly special." With the plans in place and the elves' support growing, Maharg felt a renewed sense of purpose. The grand walkathon was not just an event. It was a symbol of unity, of health, and the joy of coming together for a common cause. And so, with determination in his heart and a twinkle in his eye, Maharg embarked on his new adventure, ready to create a memorable day for all. Maharg threw himself into preparations with enthusiasm. The routes were mapped. The paths were showcased the most beautiful and serene parts of the North Pole. He had Lottie on side, known for her calm skills, and all the planning was underway. As they worked and planned the routes, Maharg felt the thrill, a very familiar thrill of problem-solving and planning. They faced several challenges along the way, from unpredictable weather to ensuring all the safety of everyone that was going to be taking part. One day, while checking the paths, Maharg and Lottie encountered a large snowdrift blocking one of the routes. "We can't let this stop us," Maharg said in a determined voice. "Let's gather a team to clear the path and make sure it's safe for everyone." With shovels in hand, Maharg, Lottie, and a group of volunteers worked tirelessly to clear the snowdrift. It was hard work, but their spirits were high, fueled by the excitement of the upcoming event. They sang songs to keep up morale, their voices echoing through the snowy landscape. "We did it," said Lottie. "The path is clear and it's going to be a beautiful route." "Great job," said Maharg, beaming with delight. "Everyone, this walkathon is going to be fantastic. Let's keep moving forward." The next challenge came when they discovered one of the bridges along the route was unstable. Maharg knew that he had to find a solution quickly to ensure the safety of all the elves. "This bridge won't hold up," said Maharg, frowning. "With so many elves crossing it, we need to reinforce it or find an alternative route." "Let's gather some materials and reinforce the bridge," said Lottie, nodding. "We can't afford to reroute the entire path at this stage." They collected planks and ropes and other materials. Maharg and Lottie supervised as they worked together to strengthen the bridge. It was a true display of teamwork and ingenuity. As they continued the preparations, Maharg realized the importance of refreshments for all the elves. He wanted to ensure that everyone had plenty of food and drink to keep their energy up during the walkathon. We'll need a lot of hot cocoa and cookies, thought Maharg. Let's set up refreshment stands along the routes to keep everyone fueled and happy. That's a wonderful idea, Maharg, said Lottie excitedly. I'll coordinate with the bakers and the cocoa makers to get everything ready. They started baking mountains of cookies. It was quite a sight. They told me to keep away for some reason, and preparing barrels and barrels of hot cocoa. The air was filled with the delicious aroma of freshly baked treats, adding to the festive atmosphere. As the day of the walkathon approached, Maharg and Lottie double-checked every detail. They walked the routes, ensuring the signs were clear, the paths were safe, and the refreshment stands were well stocked. Their dedication and hard work was evident in every aspect of the preparations. We've done everything we can, Lottie, said Maharg, smiling. Now it's time to see our work pay off. This walkathon is going to be amazing. I couldn't agree more, said Lottie. Let's make this a day to remember for everyone. And finally, the day of the walkathon arrived, and the North Pole was abuzz with excitement. The elves gathered at the start point, bundled up in warm clothes and ready for the adventure. Maharg stood at the front, a twinkle in his eye, as he addressed the crowd. Thank you all for being here, Maharg said loudly. Today is about enjoying our beautiful home and supporting our community. Let's make this a day to remember. As the walkathon began, the elves set off in high spirits. The scenic routes Maharg had planned were breathtaking, with snow-covered trees, sparkling icicles, and the gentle sound of the frozen falls in the distance. However, as they approached the whispering woods, the wind began to pick up, and dark clouds gathered overhead. The weather quickly turned, and the elves found themselves facing a sudden snowstorm. Visibility dropped, and the paths became very slippery. Maharg, ever the planner, had anticipated such a scenario and had safety measures in place. Good old Maharg. Everyone, Maharg said calmly, stay together and follow the markers. Lottie, you lead the group through the woods. Volunteers, guide the way and help anyone who needs it. Follow me, everyone, said Lottie confidently. We'll get through this together. Despite the challenging conditions, the elves worked together, supporting one another and keeping their spirits high. Maharg's careful planning and the teamwork of the elves ensured that everyone stayed safe and on track. As they navigated through the storm, Maharg noticed that the snow was piling up quite quickly, making it difficult for the smaller elves to keep up. He knew he needed to find a solution, and fast. We can't let anyone fall behind, said Maharg, thinking deeply. Let's use the sleds to help the smaller elves through the deeper snow. Maharg and the volunteers quickly set up makeshift sleds using large pieces of bark and sturdy ropes. They helped the smaller elves onto the sleds and pulled them through the snow, ensuring that everyone could keep moving forward. The storm raged on, however, but the elves remained determined. They sang songs to keep their morale up, their voices blending harmoniously despite the howling wind. Maharg and Lottie moved through the group, offering words of encouragement and making sure everyone was safe. You're doing great, said Lottie encouragingly. Just a little bit further and we'll be through the worst of it. Keep going, team, said Maharg reassuringly. We're almost there. Remember, we're in this together. The teamwork and camaraderie and friendship among the elves was heartwarming. They shared their warm clothes, offered hands to those who stumbled, and cheered each other on. As they emerged from the whispering woods, the storm began to subside and the sky cleared to reveal a clearing beautifully decorated for their arrival. The elves were greeted by the sight of twinkling lights, colourful banners, and a festive gathering in the clearing. Hot cocoa and cookies awaited, my favourite, and the air was filled with the joy and the sound of music and laughter. "Thank you all for your incredible effort and teamwork," said Maharg gratefully. "We did it! This walkathon has shown us the strength of our community and the beauty of working together." The event was celebrated with a festive gathering in the clearing, complete with the hot cocoa and cookies, and even some music. Maharg felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had found a way to balance his retirement with meaningful community engagement. "This is just the beginning," said Maharg, smiling. "I'm already thinking about our next event, and I'd love to develop a training program for new elves with Lord Pixney. There's so much more we can do together." As the day drew to a close, the clearing buzzed with festive energy. Elves chattered excitedly with their experience of the walk, their faces glowing with the joy of the accomplishment. Maharg watched from the sidelines, his heart swelling with pride. The event had been a resounding success, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Maharg looked around and saw elves of all ages enjoying themselves. The younger elves were particularly excited, having completed their very first walkathon and eager to share their stories. The older elves reminisced about past adventures, drawing comparisons to the day's events. The sense of community and togetherness was amazing. "This is what I've been missing," said Maharg reflectively. "Bringing everyone together, seeing the joy on their faces. This is truly fulfilling." Maharg found himself surrounded by elves who wanted to thank him and share their appreciation. Joy, Jingle, Lottie, and many others expressed their gratitude for his leadership and the wonderful event he had organized. "Maharg, this was incredible," said Joy. "The walkathon was such a wonderful idea. We all had a fantastic time." "It's been great to see everyone come together like this," said Jingle gratefully. "Thank you for organizing it." As the night drew to a close, Maharg made his way to a quieter corner of the clearing, where he found Lottie enjoying a cup of hot cocoa. He joined her, and they shared a moment of reflection. "Lottie, this walkathon has been more successful than I could have ever imagined," Maharg said thoughtfully. "I feel like I've found my place again." "You've done an amazing job, Maharg," Lottie said supportively. "Your planning and leadership made this possible, and I'm sure there are many more adventures ahead for you." Maharg smiled, feeling the warmth of her words. He looked out over the clearing, filled with elves, laughing, chatting, and celebrating. He knew that this was just the beginning of his new journey. He had many more ideas and many more plans to bring to life. And so, Maharg's grand adventure brought the elves together and reminded them of the power of community and teamwork. But before I say goodbye, let's check in on our favourite duo, Bixby and Biscotti, and see how they maybe contributed to this memorable day. After the walkathon festivities began to wind down, Bixby and Biscotti were still full of energy. Inspired by the day's events, they decided to embark on their own little adventure. They noticed that some of the younger elves had left their mittens and scarves scattered around the clearing. Bixby, always the curious, playful one, nudged Biscotti, encouraging her to join him in a new game. It was clear that Bixby wanted to get Biscotti to help him gather up all the mittens and get them back to their owners. Biscotti thought it was a wonderful idea, but tried not to let on to Bixby, and so, with a slow smile, followed him towards the first pile of mittens. They went round, gathering the mittens and scarves up, carrying them in their mouths and putting them on each other's backs. Bixby ended up with a little bell on him that jingled with every step, while Biscotti tried to maintain an air of dignified indifference, though she couldn't resist the satisfaction of helping out. As they moved through the clearing, they caught the attention of some of the elves, who chuckled at the sight of the helpful cats. Maharg, noticing their efforts, bent down to give them a gentle stroke. "Well done, Bixby and Biscotti," Maharg said. "You two are making sure everyone's belongings are returned. Thank you." The two cats, proud of their contribution, continued their task, leaving mittens and scarves neatly by the refreshment stands and other gathering spots. Their small act of kindness did not go unnoticed. The younger elves were delighted to find their lost items, grateful for the unexpected helpers. After ensuring that all the items were returned, Bixby and Biscotti found a cosy spot by the fire in the middle of the clearing. They curled up together, their hearts full from a day well spent. Bixby nestled close to Biscotti, purring contentedly as the older cat wrapped her tail around him protectively. The contented cats had had a wonderful day of fun, and they were both glad to know that they'd helped. Bixby and Biscotti's playful, helpful game had added a special touch to the day's adventure, showing that even the smallest members of the North Pole community could make a big difference. The sight of the two cats now peacefully resting by the fire brought smiles to the faces of the elves, reinforcing the spirit of unity and kindness that Maharg's Walkathon had inspired. So before I leave you today, children, I leave you with two questions to ponder. What new activity or project would you like to try in your community? And inspired by Bixby and Biscotti, what simple thing could you do to bring joy to someone's face this week? Reflect on these thoughts, share your stories, and remember, the magic of the North Pole is always just a story away. Until our paths cross again, under the twinkling of the stars, keep the spirit of adventure alive. Goodbye, my dear children, and remember, every day is a chance to make a difference, spread a little kindness, and to celebrate the beautiful tapestry of life. Farewell.